Alrighty, well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm thrilled to have celebrity musician Sarah Jane Cion. Happy Sunday, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Nicole. This is so much fun.
So, Sarah, you are brilliant, beautiful, and an internationally acclaimed entrepreneur. And I'm curious about if you could give us a review of your career and maybe some of your accomplishments that you're most proud of.
Well, that is so sweet. And you know the mark of a wonderful hostess and interviewer when you start off with such wonderful compliments. So thank you for that. Okay, so my story is that I excelled at piano at a very young age, ended up going to music school and going to New York City to pursue my life as a jazz pianist. I traveled the world and I made several recordings, and my music was featured on some prominent soap operas, and I got my music into different movies and things of that nature, and it was a wonderful, wonderful career. And 9/11 happened, and I ended up, my management company was firing my manager, who's going through a divorce, and the record company I was currently signed with decided they were going to discontinue their jazz division. So right around 9/11, 2001, a lot of things started to fall apart, just as I felt that I was on the precipice of breaking through, so to speak. But I thought the most meaningful thing I could do at that time was to have children. And my mother-in-law and my mom were kind of bugging me, and it was getting to be that age anyway. So I basically just shifted gears and had my first child. And that is really when my journey began. Because as you know, when things become a little bit different or something that you're not familiar with and you're thrown into uncharted territory, it forces you to grow in ways that you've never expected.
Wow, so I have the chills, Sarah. So I've been honored to know you and consider you a close personal friend for a while, and I do know that was a big career shift, having a child. I didn't realize how much 9/11 impacted you, and now it's bringing back some memories of earlier stories that you told me. This was a really significant transition time for you.
Well, I'm getting chills now because I'm trying to think of the word. Sometimes at nearly 50, my brain doesn't recall these beautiful words that I used to come up with instantaneously, but you're so perceptive and so sensitive, and honestly, I don't even remember so many of the things that we discussed, and for you to even remember that I had talked about that as being a significant turning point in my life, that touches me. So thank you for that. It was very interesting because I found myself at home with a baby where I was previously, out and about in the world, dressing up, playing jazz clubs, and here I was at home, didn't really know who I was in this new role. My husband, who's also a professional musician, his life didn't change too much. So there was this whole thing about, your life isn't changing, and now I'm home, and I don't know who I am. And all of a sudden I was at the park with other moms going to Mommy and Me meetings, and I was so used to being in a community of musicians that I felt like I didn't quite know how to relate to, we jokingly call them civilians. So I felt that everybody was looking at me like I had three heads, and I didn't know how to communicate on a regular level with many people. And it was very interesting, and I thought to myself, well, okay, so I can either kind of wallow in the self-pity, or I can do something and, make some lemonade. So what I did was I took all of my feelings and I turned to writing. And I wrote a book, and I thought it was really funny and witty. Maybe looking back on it now, maybe not so funny and witty, but at the time I thought it was funny and witty, and I thought, well, this would be really fun to get this out there. I mean, maybe not just for my aunt in California to read it, or some best friend from high school, but maybe I could really get this out there in a big way. So I went on a journey trying to figure out, how does one get a book published? And I ended up going through this whole rigmarole of the traditional route, which was creating these, I can't even remember the word for them when you submit like a pre-script to a publisher. And it's almost like more involved than the book itself. And I went down that road, and I got a lot of rejections, and I actually got one yes. And it got to the point with this publisher where it was almost going to get published. And it got to the point where I was about to sign over my rights to everything, the cover design, the content, the editing, everything. I would lose control, and I would even lose control of the income that was derived from the sale of the book. So I decided to step back from that and not go through with that, and I found an alternative route, which was self-publishing, which has then led to me writing 13 more books. And I have so much fun with it because I self-publish and I'm in control of everything. The cover design, the editing. I can put it up on CreateSpace, which is my favorite form of self-publishing. I get to keep every single penny of my sales. I do print on demand, so I don't have to worry about rushing to the post office every time someone buys a physical book. So I ended up really enjoying that little portion of my life and teaching a course on how to bring a book. I took a course on how to bring a book to bestseller on Amazon, and then people were asking me how I did it. So I created a course on how to create an Amazon.com bestseller. And then I created another book, which was Publicity Secrets Revealed, after taking a course myself. And I'm such a perfectionist that if I feel that there are holes or like a way that I might teach myself in a different or better way, that's why I recreated these courses, because I felt that there were certain ways that I was taught that I felt that if I'd had myself as a teacher, I would have gotten more out of it. So I created another course, Publicity Secrets Revealed, and I explained how I was able to springboard that particular bestseller to interviews on television. My most proud television feature is on Fox and Friends, and anybody can go see it. It's still up there. I love it. It's so much fun for me to watch that. I took some media training. I learned all this stuff. If you go to SallyShields.com, which is my pen name, Sally, and then Shields as in Brooke Shields, spelled the same way, .com, and you go to the media page, you can watch my Fox News interview, and it was just a blast. Just to be able to look at where I had come, how sad I had been, sort of transitioning out of my career that I knew and loved for so long, and just decided to have fun with my life and wasn't taking myself so seriously, and just was having an amusing time. And that I think that's how I mainly got through it. I didn't take it so seriously. It wasn't as emotional to me as the music career that I'd come from, so I was just really having fun with the whole thing.
Oh, fantastic. And you are so prolific, Sarah, and congratulations being a best-selling author. So I'm actually curious about a few things. So I wanted to touch base on the jazz to author and then move on to your third career and your new business. What I'm curious about is being an internationally acclaimed jazz musician to this major transition, which you moved through to become a best-selling author. And I'm curious about how long did you wallow? I mean, some people would get stuck in the transition, but you did lemons and made a completely second and completely famous career out of that. I'm so proud.
That's so sweet. Well, okay, so the first couple years of raising my daughter, it was like being thrown into these uncharted waters. I just remember at the hospital, I asked the nurse, I was like, could you please show me how to change a diaper? And she looked at me like I was from Mars. It was the funniest thing. She's like, give me that thing. It's not rocket science, And I was like, just show me once. I'm a quick learner. But I had honestly never changed a diaper before. So it was like, it was basically when I had my second child. Okay, so I had my daughter in 2002, and I had my son in 2006. And through this time, that was when I started to write my feelings down, and so I would say I started to write the book maybe 3.5 years in. So
okay.
It took me a little while to figure out what I needed to do, but by 2007, I was fully into this new sort of writing frenzy. And people say, well, how do you decide what to write on? And I say, well, I write until I can solve my own issues. So the first book that I wrote was, The Daughter-in-Law Rules, 101 Surefire Ways to Make Friends with Your Mother-in-Law. Of course, she was a perfect homemaker, and it was a different time, and I was not that, so she'd come over and she'd say, your house looks like a pigsty. Now, she didn't mean anything by it, but I was thinking, well, gosh, it's hard enough taking care of a baby and I have to clean my house too. So anyway, it was just funny at the time, but it wasn't funny to me at the time, but her innocuous comments spurned a lot of feelings. So I had to write my feelings down to get through that. Then I wrote a book when I took on a co-author because I was a little bit nervous about my first time publishing, and that particular situation didn't work out well. I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I work better independently as an author. So after that relationship dissipated, I wrote a book called The Collaborator Rules, 101 Surefire Ways to Stay Friends with Your Co-Author. And then when I brought my book to bestseller status, that's when I wrote Publicity Secrets Revealed, What Every PR Firm Doesn't Want You to Know. By that time, I was completely neglecting my physical body, and I had put on some weight, and I was desperate to take it off, but the traditional route was simply not working for me. So I went ahead and interviewed 101 skinny women, in my mind, skinny, athletic women, and I called the book, Is She Naturally Thin or Disciplined? Insider Secrets of the Sexy and Slim. Now that book actually did attract the attention of a publisher, and it ended up getting on the shelf next to, now this was a complete miraculous synergy, but Suzanne Summers was coming out with a book called Slim and Sexy exactly at the same time that Sally Shields, Insider Secrets of the Sexy and Slim. So my book was right next door to Suzanne Summers' book at Barnes & Noble, and believe me, I have many, many photographs of those two books touching each other on the shelves of Barnes & Noble. It was a really fun moment for me to see that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, it sounds like a fun moment, and wow, I'm still digesting all of this, Sarah. So you are extremely talented, and the journey that you've been through is also a journey that all of us can relate to in our own way. And I think that what makes you a star and a winner is you really being authentic about what you're going through and kind of finding a way to work through it, like in the most, healthy, creative, productive way that you can also share with other human beings. I mean, it's like really profound to me.
That's so sweet. Well, a lot of people say that, like, oh my gosh, you're so prolific, but I think because I came from the background of being a piano player and then a jazz pianist and having that creative energy, and that's sort of who I am. It didn't seem that difficult to transition to writing. And my dad always says, you're so prolific, how are you writing all these books? But then I look to myself and I say, gosh, I wrote those books within the span of a decade. It's been a year since I wrote something. I'm not doing anything. So it's so interesting where you can look back and say, wow, I did create a lot of things. But when you're going through your day-to-day life, sometimes it doesn't feel that way. So it's very sweet of you to point out that it seems, like a really amazing thing, where to me it's just basically getting through my day-to-day life, and several weeks could go by and nothing gets written, and then all of a sudden, a whole chapter will pour out. So it's the plight of the writers. The writers. What do you call those phrases when you have the block? Writer's block. My daughter is an artist now, a painter. She's 13. She's taken up painting, and she'll come to me in tears sometime, and she's like, "Mommy, I have whatever her words for are with writer's block." And I say, "Don't worry, it's totally natural. Weeks can go by. Don't let it affect you. When you want to pick something up again, you can." And so now I'm able to sort of reassure and coach her, which is a really wonderful thing.
Oh, that is a wonderful thing. And, okay, that's a really excellent perspective, too. I know that as an entrepreneur and as a perfectionist, people can be hard on themselves. And you're reminding me of actually my late grandfather's words about going easy on yourself. So it's good to know that we're all human.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh yeah, and we can all support each other through that for sure, because once you do kind of connect with people who are interested in what you're doing, and you find your own, I always call it people of my own ilk, you can really support each other. It's very important, especially if you're in an artistic community, to find other like-minded people to whom you can commiserate and bond with, because it's not always an easy route to go through. It can be a lonely route, and creativity has its own ups and downs, and sometimes it's very solitary. So it's very, very important to support each other whenever we can, find each other and seek each other out, and do whatever we can to reassure each other that what we're going through is quite normal.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, quite normal, and reassuring each other is good. And now, Sarah, I wanted to move on. So you've had 2 successful careers, both top internationally as a musician and also as a writer, and now you've moved on to something new. So I'd love to share with us what that's about, and where people can find you, what your ideal client is, and how people can kind of get healthy and take advantage of what you've been up to.
Well, thank you so much for asking. So it's really interesting. So the one of the latest books I wrote, I was obsessed with how to get healthy and how to get my life back physically, and all the traditional diets were not working for me. And just out of the blue, I got a call from a friend of mine about a wonderful company and a program that he actually had approached it to me as an income opportunity, so I honestly didn't really know what I was getting in this box. It turned out to be an incredibly healthy nutritional cleansing system that took 33 pounds off my 5'3" frame in about 14 weeks. And I got so excited, and everybody around me was asking me what I did, and I thought, this is a wonderful way that I can continue my love of teaching and supporting others by basically coaching people for free, as long as they were able to purchase the system. And that felt good to me, because a lot of times musicians and coaches and teachers, I think sometimes we have trouble charging for our services because we're very customer service based, and we're heart people, and we're teachers and coaches, and sometimes the line gets blurry between charging for our services. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to say, listen, I will be your hand-holding coach. If this is a fit for you, if you've been looking to shed some of those unwanted pounds with this incredible technology that's unlike anything you've ever seen. It's not the traditional way of reducing calories or anything like that, or necessarily exercising. And what happened to me was, after I lost the weight, I got so much energy back that I was at my daughter's tennis lesson one day, and somebody came up to me just randomly and said, you should try this. There's an adult evaluation. So I was like, all right, and I picked up a racket, and at the age of 49, I am now playing competitive USTA tennis, and you just can't make this up. I mean, I was like a size 14, overweight, lethargic. I'm down to a size 6, energetic, competitive athlete at the age of 49. So you just cannot make this stuff up. So I'm now taking my passion for, I've always loved health and energy. After I had my kids, I was stuck. And now that I have a system for helping others shed that visceral fat, those unwanted pounds, and also tying into my love of, coaching, I'm able to create the two together. And because the company that I'm working for is such a generous, has a generous referral program, I'm able to help others create a back-end residual income if they so choose. So we've got systems that we teach for healthy aging and energy and performance and weight loss and even wealth creation. So now I'm transitioning into a wonderful world of network marketing. And, of course, I had to write a book on that. So my latest book is called From Associate to Crystal Director in 90 Days, 101 Ways to Build Teams and Ignite Dreams, Insider Secrets of the Financially Free. So that is now combining, again, a few of my passions together, and now it seems to be all coming full circle. And people are even calling me for gigs again, so go figure. As a matter of fact, I have a piano student coming over in about 4 minutes. So that's coming full circle too.
Sarah, thank you so much for talking to me today. And wow, so 3 successful careers, and you are gorgeous and amazing, bringing us full circle. Do you have one tip for happiness for an entrepreneur on their journey?
Oh my gosh, just know that the work never gets done. And, I've read a lot of things on trying to seek out what makes a person happy. And I used to think that happiness was some kind of a future thing where, someday if I have the money, I'll allow myself to pay for a tennis lesson, or someday I'll allow myself to purchase that, or someday, and what I realized was that, as I'm approaching 50 next year, it did kind of hit me rather hard that this is no longer a rehearsal for life. And do what you love now, and what happens is you become the person that you want to become by doing the things that you want to do instead of wishing about them. And there's always a way. So even though tennis is not a cheap sport, I would never allow myself to go play 3 to 4 times a week in the past. But because I am now creating a lifestyle for myself and I want to be happy and teach others to be happy, I figured out what makes me happy, what makes me tick, and I go do that every day. So I'll drop off my kids in the morning, and I'll get myself to the courts, and I'll play for a couple hours, and then I'll come home and do what I need to do in my business. But it's doing what you love instead of putting it off, and I believe that's one of the secrets to happiness. And the second secret is constantly being grateful for everything. What I learned something from Tony Robbins, you can't be unhappy and grateful. It's just impossible, like at the same time. So if you get up in the morning, even if I can't think of something that I'm grateful for, I will think of something. Like, I am so grateful for my cat, this beautiful, soft animal right next to me that loves me so much. I am so grateful for being able to breathe this air in and out my nostrils. I am so grateful to feel energetic and to not have any pain in my body today. I'm so grateful to be able to bring my children to school and serve them and make their lunches, and any little thing that you can be grateful for, I'm grateful for. And I remind myself of those things constantly, and it keeps me on track and keeps me humble and keeps me serving, because it's also in the service of others that creates happiness. So I hope that those were helpful thoughts.
Oh, absolutely, Sarah. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration. And one last thing before I let you go, I'm going to post your social media and website with this interview. Is there a site you'd like to direct the listeners to?
Oh, that would be so great. Well, basically, my social media, and hope this isn't too complicated, it's facebook.com/ISA Lovers with a Z 101. Now, I have a theme in my books. A lot of my books are 101 ways. So it's combining my love of this nutritional cleansing system with my teaching. So therefore, the 101. So it's facebook.com/ISA, ISA, Lovers, LOVER, I can't spell, LOVERZ 101. And
okay, fantastic.
Yes.
We'll post, I'll do the links to that so everyone can visually see it as well online.
I also have a website. It's much easier, isalovers.com, isalovers.com. And you can find me there. You can find me on Facebook. Thank you so much, Nicole, for this opportunity. You're such a beautiful soul and beautiful friend, and I'm so honored that this journey brought you and I together, because that is one of the things that I'm the most grateful for, is meeting friends like you and what this, interesting, twisting road has led me down, and the people that it has allowed me to connect with. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're wonderful. Thank you so much, Sharon. You heard everybody. This is internationally acclaimed celebrity, Sarah Jane Cion, successful in 3 careers, and we'll send you all to ISA Lovers. And Sarah, you are beautiful and amazing, and have a really good day.
Thanks, Nicole. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Okay.